Our question for today is, if I have a 5th grader, a 3rd grader, and a 1st grader, how can I combine my teaching? Is there any way to teach them all from the same curriculum, or how can I do that?
So, and we're not just talking about those particular grades, we're talking, if you're dealing with multiple children in multiple grades, what does that look like?
Yes.
And of course, the first question we have to determine is why you're doing that. Are you doing it for economical reasons, or are you just doing it for sanity? And so let's first jump into, you're doing it for economical reasons. What can we do?
So the first place I would look to combine would be history, because that's a natural for multiple grades is history.
Correct.
So if you have, for those specific grades, I would pick one of the history levels, read it out loud as a group, and have them do age-appropriate activities.
And you wouldn't even have to read it out loud. The most common history for that age group is going to be Story of the World, and it's got the CDs, it's the audio, so you can put that in and they'll do the work for you. And then it's got age-appropriate activities through the book, so you can start in 1st grade with Story of the World 1, or you can go Story of the World 4 that's used in 4th grade, and you can play around with it, whichever one would be most pertinent to your family. And so that particular history would be checked off your list.
Yeah. Other than that, it's going to kind of depend on what your goal is. So,
well, we've got science.
Okay, science. Let's take science.
Yeah. Science. So science, if you are using the religious track of Timberdoodle, the Berean science is perfect because you will address all those ages. Again, you've got experiments on, almost every other page is an experiment that all children will enjoy, and then the information. And so that, again, can be geared to the level of the child. So,
and there are age-appropriate notebooking activities for each age group in there as well. So they've already built that into the course.
So that would be history and science. What are some other ways that we could combine grades?
Pearl, you have any thoughts?
I do. If you're combining students for economical reasons, I would look at the STEM kits and the SMART games. So the SMART games, you just want to look at each one and look at the age recommendation for it and look at the challenge level and see. Typically, though, for a 5th through 1st grade range, you should be able to find one that will meet the needs of all children.
And we can help.
Yeah, and we can help.
So if you want to email us and say, I've got children these ages, I only want to get one STEM item, what we recommend, we're here to help. I mean,
absolutely.
We can give you some direction on that. So STEM can be used, the same STEM kit could be used for all 3 children.
Well, you gave some examples about that earlier as far as the plus and the Zoob and
right. So plus is part of 1st grade. And so you would use the same material for all 3, but you'd expect, frankly, better quality of construction for a 5th grader than you would for a 1st. You can use it, let's say that we would recommend Zoob, because that would be the 3rd grade option for STEM. Then I would encourage you to look in the handbook for ideas on how to use the Zoob for the 1st grader. So it will say maybe build something that your grandfather uses. And so then they would use it with the Zoob. It wouldn't use the Zoob like the 3rd grader's going to use it, but it's going to get them hands-on thinking.
So you're looking for STEM ideas from the 1st grade handbook, and you're implementing them with the STEM resources from 3rd grade just to save the cost.
And again, these are things that we can help you with either over the phone or by email so that you can cut some costs and have some appropriate STEM activities for a wide range of children.
Yeah.
So we've got STEM, art.
If you are doing art, so 1st, 3rd, and 5th grade, 3rd grade is a perfect grade to kind of combine both other ends of the spectrum on, because you're doing painting in that one, and you've got 4 different paintings, and that's just be a perfect one to either split out or to have everybody doing the same project at the same time or whatever. So
in the same way, do art with clay.
In 1st grade.
In 1st grade, and it's going to be much harder. I mean, the same picture, but you would expect more out of the 5th grader, to blend the colors, to put more texture in. Yeah. So it would be your expectations, and but a lot of our art kits have multiples in it, so you pick one that would appeal to all the children. So if you had 3 kids, you probably want to get a basic for all 3 kids, just right out of the chute, because it will give them the age-appropriate math and language arts and the thinking skills. But again, the thinking skills you may be able to play around with and share with, depending on which one you decide on, with the other two children.
The games or the workbooks themselves?
I'm thinking the games.
Yeah.
And again, it depends on the age of the child. If we're not working with these 3 ages, but high school, junior high, some of this won't necessarily apply.
Right.
If, on the other hand, you're looking for ideas of how to combine your teaching for your own sanity. So if you're saying, I've got 3 kids, I can't imagine how I'm going to get anything else done during the day besides teaching these kids, and what in the world do I do with the other 2 while I'm teaching one of them, then we've got some ideas for that as well.
Correct.
And I would say, first of all, look at your list and decide what are things that your child will be able to do independently.
What list are you talking about?
Our checklist, our weekly checklist. So you're going to get your curriculum. You're going to have a checklist in there that you either the one that comes with the kit, if you just got the standard kit, or if you customized it, you're going to go to the customization scheduler on our customized website and make your weekly checklist. So now you've got a list of everything you want to get done during the week. And then you're going to look through there and see what can your child do independently. And that's a huge push for Timberdoodle, is get your child learning independently.
As soon as they learn how to read, they should be starting to manage the bulk of their schoolwork.
Yeah. So if it's a math book or if it's critical thinking skills, whatever it is, they should be able to read the directions, follow it, and do it independently.
Right.
And if they have an issue, come to you and say, hey, I can't figure out this problem. So once you've decided what are their independent things, then you're going to want to decide what are the things that they're going to need assistance with.
Right.
And then basically it's a balancing act. So your first grader is going to need assistance with, let's say, spelling, because you're going to be reading them a list. So let's have your third grader and your fifth grader watching their Matthew C. video and doing that independently while you're working with the first grader. And then
or doing their smart games, or doing their STEM, or doing their art. And again, if you are working with reading, all about reading with your first grader, and your fifth grader cannot figure out their math and just needs a brief question answer, you could put your first grader on here. Work on this smart game for a few minutes while I help this child. And it's kind of a little bit of a rodeo until you get it all figured out. But once you do, and once the kids assume responsibility for what they're doing, and they're checking off their checklist, it all kind of gels. Maybe the first week it'll be a little crazy, but after that it all kind of gels for you. So again, we're here to help. Do you have a particular age range you're thinking of, and you're saying, but I'm working with a baby and a fifth grader and a 12th grader, tell me how I can do this. It's going to be a little bit harder, but there are things that we can do and suggestions we can make.
Yeah, and basically it's going to, so for the expense-wise, we can help you figure out what is overlapping, what to split out. For the time management-wise, really push on independent learning. And the more you can, maybe you're going to spend the first couple weeks or the first month tooling your children up to become independent learners, and the rest of your year will be so much easier that way. So I would say that would be the biggest push.
Exactly.
I think that answers that question.
That answers that question. If you have any add-on questions, just be sure to drop us a line at mailbag@timberdoodle.com.
Yeah.